Hey mini enthusiasts, how are you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a great day. Today we're back on the Super City, a continuation of the engine and gearbox strip, and we're gonna be doing one of the most feared jobs on a classic Mini, and that is removing the clutch and flywheel assembly. So why is it so feared? The flywheel assembly can become seized to the crankshaft, and yeah, you can get into all sorts of problem removing it. Today's video is going to be pretty much in real time again, so I'm not going to cut anything out. I'm not going to speed anything up. So fingers crossed it all goes okay. If it doesn't, you're going to get to see it pretty much live. Right, let me get some gloves on, some overalls on, we'll get the camera set up and let's get stuck into it. So this job does require a special tool. It's a flywheel puller kit. I'm using one from Mini Spares here. This is £30. So I've used these kits before. I've never really run into a problem with one of these flywheels. I've had some that are very tight, but I've never failed to get one off. Guessworks, John Guess, also does a much more heavy duty version of this kit, which if you owned a garage or were doing this on a regular basis, it's probably worth investing. It's 3 times the cost of this kit. It's about 90 quid, but it is, yeah, if you can't get a flywheel off, then use the John Guess ones. But for most times, this should be absolutely fine. If you can't get it off, sometimes it's because you are doing it wrong. So common mistakes will be not to use the like the thrust button, thrust washer here. Sometimes the washer gets left inside the flywheel, which I'll show you in a bit. You also need to make sure the engine is timed up on top dead center as well, because there's like a horseshoe shaped washer that holds all the flywheel or locates the flywheel in place. And if you're really unlucky and it's not on top dead center, that can fall out. But essentially this kit here will do a non-Verto and a Verto clutch. The only difference is for the non-Verto setup, we would be using the Imperial bolts, these ones here, the silver ones, and for the Verto clutch, which is what we've got on our Mini, so after 1983, we're using the gold metric bolts. Obviously there's washers to go on here as well. These are high strength, so 8.8 tensile strength, and the actual main puller bolt is actually 10.9 tensile strength. So let's get the camera set up and let's whip the wok off the car, and then we can get this puller fitted on, and fingers crossed it will all come off okay. Right then, let's start to get this engine stripped down, or certainly this gearbox. So hopefully today's video will take the wok off, we'll get the flywheel off, we'll see how much of a pain that is. Hopefully we won't run into troubles. If we do, you'll see in real time. And then maybe we'll get this transfer case off at the end as well. Let's get stuck in. So first, it's just removing big bits really. We need to get this this slave cylinder, clutch slave cylinder mounting plate off. All the nuts and bolts are going to be pretty generic here, going to be 9/16, 7/16 or 1/2 inch, so not many different tools required. And then we've got a nice tray ready down the bottom here. Try and keep everything separate so we don't mix stuff up in the future, but I've got to be honest with the bolts. As long as you're a little bit diligent when it's going back together, you can't really get them in wrong. You can, because the threads can be different. Certainly on a transfer case, the threads are different in the block and the gearbox. It's like coarse and fine, so you do need to be a little bit careful, but with a bit of common sense and a bit of care, it should never really be an issue. If you can, I mean, I always try and keep everything together as much as I can. Now I wonder if this clutch has ever been changed on this before. It's got 30,000 miles on the clock, so in theory it shouldn't, but you don't know what the previous owners are going to be like. That should come off now. It might need a little tap. A rubber mallet. There we go. And then while we're here, we'll probably just strip this arm down as well and just have a look, because these arms are prone to wearing. So there's our thrust bearing inside. It's always worth looking around here, seeing if it's oily in the here. So you'll see actually it is a little bit oily, so that probably indicates the rear main oil seal's leaking. It should just be black, dry clutch dust, but that's giving me an indication that the rear main's probably leaking a bit. Not too bad, otherwise it'd be absolutely covered in oil. If you do see the video getting sped up a little bit, it's literally me just going to get tools. So it's as real time as it can be without boring you while I'm fiddling around in the toolbox. So just a little rubber O-ring holds the thrust bearing in place, and then out it comes. You will notice the thrust bearing then engages with this cup, which goes on the end of the crank or end of the flywheel, and then that's what pushes on the clutch diaphragm. I have in the past forgot to put that back in. Put it all back together and then wonder why you got no clutch pedal. It's because forgot to put that part back in. I only ever done it once as an apprentice, and then once you've done it once, you never do it again. Although it's a long time since I was an apprentice, so bit of complacency might kick in. And then the clutch arm at the end here is just going to be held in with a split pin. And like I say, I'm keeping this all in the same compartment in the box here, so when it comes to reassembly, I'm not hunting around for bits all over the place. We want to have a good look at this arm because they are prone to wearing out. Right, that's going to take a bit more of a tap. That it's quite tight in there, which means it's probably partially seized. Very, very tight. Shouldn't be that tight. That may mean that it's a bit worn and there's a lip on there. So bear with me, I'm probably just going to have to go and put this in the vise quickly to get it out. Right, just bringing you in because that is very, very seized in there. I can't even move it round and round. Yeah, very seized. So when things are seized like that, providing we haven't got to worry about rubber components or anything like that, a little bit of heat is usually your friend. Now I bought this heat gun a few years ago now. It's very, very useful though. Plumbers typically use them. Rothenberger Spitfire 2 or Superfire 2 running MAP gas. That gets nice and hot.
So we're just going to heat up, not the actual pin or try to avoid the pin, just heat up the casing and the arm. I don't know whether it's seized. Well, it won't be seized in the arm because the arm's moving. It must be seized in the casing. Try and give that a twist now, see if we're getting anywhere with it. Yeah, see, there we go, it's just started to move very, very slightly. Amazing what heat does, it really is. There we go, one very hot pin. Used a punch just so I didn't burr over the end too much, so hopefully we can use that again. Now we can push the arm right down, we can get that out, get the arm out, and I think we're just going to let that cool down now for 10-15 minutes because I don't want to burn myself. So it's actually just seized in the end of the casing here, so no big deal. Let's get back to the engine and gearbox. So it seems very quick, but already we're pretty much ready to take this flywheel off now. Now, before we take it off, like I say, there's a horseshoe washer that if you have it orientated so it's at the bottom, it can drop out inside, can make it almost impossible to get that flywheel off. So you need to put it on top dead center first. I don't think it matters whether it's top dead center 1, cylinder 1 or top dead center cylinder 4. I think it just orientates it at top dead center so it's sideways at 90 degrees. So that won't matter whether it's top dead center 1 or top dead center number 4. But just for my OCD, we're going to put it on top dead center number 1. How will we do that? We just need to make sure piston's right at the top on number 1 and both valves are fully closed, which means the valves on number 4 are what you would call rocking. They're just opening and closing. And I'll do that literally just by feel. Got the push rods in there. I can feel that as I'm getting to the top there. Number 4 push rods are rocking. So we are at top dead center there. We're going to need something to lock the flywheel. I usually just use like a pry bar like this. You can get a special tool for it. And then we're going to need the correct socket. That ain't the correct socket. That one is the correct socket. And you might need to just bash it on a little bit here because it's got lock tabs in here to stop the nut coming loose. Sometimes that lock tab can stop you getting the socket on all the way. Right tool for the right job, obviously. Now this sometimes, be careful, make sure you don't injure yourself when you're doing stuff like this. So just have a think about where you're pushing or pulling, how you're doing it. One, so you don't do your back in, and two, so you don't get hurt. So that's probably not great because the hole, oh no, luckily that ain't very tight. But I probably wanted to be pushing down rather than pulling up, would have made more sense, but it come undone anyway. So there we go. And just for ease, I'll buzz that off with a buzz gun. Right, most important bit now. Behind the nut is an offset washer. Don't forget to take that out, because if you will, and I'm not saying I've ever done this before, but you'll put the puller in there, you'll be pulling all day long, it will never come off. So don't forget to take that out. Just make sure it's back on top dead centre. Now we just need to fit our puller, quite straightforward. So we need to make sure the puller bolts go in all the way. They don't have to be done up mega tight or anything, but just make sure they're all the way home. And then the puller is actually sided. So we've got, it says screw, insert screws from this side. So it needs to go that way round. I was just checking the bolts go through okay. This is a brand spanking new. You saw me get it out of the packet. And the thread in the end here ain't great. I can't start the bolt. I'm sure it'll probably clean up if I put the bolt through from the other side. Right, that's tightening up there. So that thread, brand new puller, that mini spares, a little bit disappointed there. Don't know whether you'll be able to see it, but the thread has just not been run all the way through by the looks of it, or is knolled up a little bit on the end. So I'll put a little bit of molly grease on that and just work that bolt through backwards and forwards, but brand new puller that, a bit disappointed. Hopefully it doesn't damage the thread, but yeah, not good. But I'm sure you know these are some of the challenges we face with mini bits, isn't it? Great. I don't have a tap that big. Flipping hell, mini spares. Right, I'm going to have to go and do that in the vise. Right then, I'll sped that bit up just because it's a little bit boring. It's only a few minutes, I just had to do it by hand. So I've passed the bolt the whole way through, backwards and forwards now. There you can see I can do it by hand now. But anyone from mini spares, if you're watching this, whoever makes these, needs to make sure they've run the thread the whole way through. Don't forget our little thrust washer or thrust, I don't know what it's called, a thrust something, I'll check in a moment. Now there are corresponding bolt holes in the flywheel. Really, really important to make sure these all go in evenly, that they're going all the way, because potentially you're pulling from 3 different angles. So yeah, they need to make sure those bolts are all the way home. I was going to get the nut gun out, but should probably do this by hand really. I'll be good. So I can feel with that one, that's got all the way to the bottom of the thread and then stopped. All the way to the bottom and stopped. So they don't have to be tight. All the way and stopped. Now we've got our centre bolt, and as I tighten that up, it will just tighten up on the puller then. There we go. Now, important point, because we've been playing around, we need to make sure we go back to top dead centre, which is there. And now, all we need to do is a socket on there, lock up the flywheel, tighten it up, and then depending how tight it is, it will just go bang and come undone, or it might be a fight. Now again, lots of times in the past I have just used a nut gun on there, but it says not to use it, so we'll behave ourselves. Lock up the flywheel with a screwdriver. Getting tight, so we're going to need the big lever bar. Make sure that we're not going to fall over or anything. Flywheel's locked up. Could probably do with another pair of hands here. Oh yeah, that's tight. Right. Let's think safe, let's not hurt ourselves. Believe it or not, it's actually easier on the car with the engine in there because you've got the engine locked in place. This is actually a bit of a pain. Yeah, tight. getting a bit old for this. Just making sure that screwdriver's locked in place properly all the time, because when it goes bang, or if it slips out, it's going to hurt. Whoa. That was a tight one. Had to get the old Miller muscles out then. Right, it's off. In real time, hopefully. So yeah, can be very, very tight. That was a very, very tight one. There we go, we'll put that up on the bench in a moment. When I was talking about this like horseshoe washer, it's this here. So as you can see, that pulls out there, and it holds the, is that the primary gear in place? But if you would imagine, if we had the engine the other way around, so actually it does make a difference. So that was top dead centre number 1. If we'd had it top dead centre number 4, which would have been, no, sorry, it's me being a numpty. Yeah, it wouldn't matter either way, it just needs to be top dead centre. Yeah, if we had it with 2 and 3 on top dead centre, that can drop out. It drops out inside the flywheel and pressure plate, and then you cannot get the assembly off. So yeah, just be very, very careful of that. So there we go. There's then like a thrust washer behind that. And then we've got our gear there with a dust cover over it. So let me just bring you in and have a look at this. Right, so that flywheel out the way, now we can see obviously quite a bit more oil down the bottom here. It will be leaking from this rear main oil seal there, quite common. Obviously all the oil seals are going to get replaced anyway. But it does probably mean that the clutch will also be contaminated with oil. So I think the next job we'll do, we'll get that puller taken off and dismantle and pull off the clutch and have a look at the pressure plate. But we're going to be upgrading the clutch anyway. It's going to need to hold more torque than the standard clutch, so we'll need an upgraded clutch. So our mini spares puller done the job. Bit disappointed that the thread was like that, but it wasn't too much of an issue. And that was a very tight clutch. So it's done the job, hasn't it? So that's ready for another day. While we're here, let's just have a look at this clutch arm. Now we're all tidied up. So what we're looking for is wear on this pin, which amazingly there's hardly any. I would have thought there would be more, seeing it was seized like it was. We want to check whether there's wear in here. Bear with me, I just need to clean up the end on there. Let me just clean this pin up. Right, just clean that up, and yeah, it's pretty good. There's a little bit of wear on it. It'll probably go again, but if you're in any doubt, and I might just order a new one anyway, because it'll only be a few quid. But that is actually tight. So I wonder whether it was seized in there and just the whole lot was turning. That's probably more the case. So we'll have to clean that up. What tends to wear is this ball and socket on the end here. Well, both actually. You get a bit of wear on this shaft and you get a tiny little bit of wear in there, and by the time it sort of translates up through the rest of everything, then it can be quite bad. You get this ball pin wear out on the end here. You can see there's a bit of wear on the back of it. Nothing too major. I've seen a lot worse than that before. We'll clean all this up properly later, and then you get wear where it goes inside here as well, so it fits inside there and then pivots backwards and forwards. But yeah, any wear in this sort of assembly can really sort of accentuate itself by the time it gets to the clutch slave cylinder, and then you get clutch clearance problems and all sorts. Right, let's whip this flywheel off. There we go. So, pressure plate to begin with. It's a bit shiny, so a bit glazed, but it's not scored up or anything like that. But this is probably all going to get replaced anyway. The clutch itself, wear-wise on this side looks pretty good. Wear-wise on the other side looks pretty good. So that clutch, if we weren't upgrading the engine, potentially it could probably just be cleaned up and put back in. Want to check the springs as well, make sure there's none loose. There's one there a little bit loose. But doesn't appear to be any oil contamination on there, or if there is, it's very, very light. So that remains not been leaking too badly. And then the actual flywheel itself, again, just checking for scores and that sort of thing. Have a look on the back of it as well, because what can happen if the clutch has been replaced before, they've had trouble getting the flywheel off, tend to go through the starter motor hole and beat the absolute crap out the back of the flywheel, which can cause quite a lot of damage to it. While we're here, we can check the ring gear as well, for which the starter motor engages to. Just make sure we've got no really damaged teeth or anything like that. You're always going to get a little bit of damage where it engages. Typically it will be all in one area of the flywheel, which is generally I say all in one area. It'll be, the engine will stop as it comes up on compression, so you're likely to get certain areas of the flywheel which will be more worn than the others. So that lot can be all just put away for storage. Sorry, I forgot to mention actually, so you want to check the pin, you want to check inside the yoke arm, you want to check the arm itself for wear. Also pop out the pin. This is the push rod which goes to the clutch slave cylinder. just pop that out as well, because again it's another area for wear. Wear and seizing. Right, let me just clean this one up. Bit more wear on that one. I don't know whether you can see it. There's definitely a pronounced step there. So like I say, you imagine you get a little bit of wear there, you get a little bit of wear there, you get a little bit of wear there, you get a little bit of wear in there. It can all sort of add together and compound clutch issues. And for this, we'll probably just replace these two pins. Both have got a little bit of wear in them. Obviously the corresponding parts will be a little bit worn as well, but that will take out sort of 50% of the wear. Just noticed also there's quite a bit of wear on the clutch fingers here. You can see the shiny bit there, which is what our thrust washer and the spacer fits onto. They look quite sharp. Now these you can wear them all the way through and they can break through, so yeah, I think that clutch, you'd be replacing it anyway. What causes that? Keeping your foot on the clutch while you're sitting at traffic lights for extended periods of time, things like that. This clutch isn't actually worn out, but certainly got some wear there.